Hello. Welcome everyone to the Office 365 or the Microsoft 365 Pulse. We are here today to give you updates on what is coming to the roadmap, or I guess it's already on the roadmap. That's why we're going to talk about it. I know Tom has got to leave us at 30 minutes after the hour on the recording. So, Tom, I'm going to let you start.
Okay.
We have a bunch of things in development today and in canceled. I knew it would be coming. We're getting close to the Microsoft fiscal, so we're cleaning up the roadmap. But why don't you get us started, Tom, on in development? Tell us what you're loving in development.
Yeah, sounds good. There's a ton of stuff for Compliance Center, which I'm going to gratefully hand over to Adam if he wants to hit on a couple of them. The couple of things that I was going to hit on was in Microsoft Search, they're making a few changes to Microsoft Graph Connector results. They're going to show in the all vertical. So if you've got search results that are coming back from any custom items that you've done or results from remote repositories, they are going to be displaying in the all vertical in Microsoft Bing when you're signed on with a work or a school account, alongside information for Microsoft 365 apps and services. So it's not going to be separated out into its own little thing anymore. It's just going to be part of what you get with search. And then there's another one that basically says Microsoft Search, Microsoft Graph Connector results in Windows. So as opposed to like Microsoft Bing, this is results from repositories indexed with Microsoft Graph Connectors will be displayed when performing a search in Windows. So you're going to have that Microsoft Graph results for remote repositories working the same within both Bing and within Windows. So
Yeah.
keep an eye open for that. That should be this month.
And for those that aren't aware of what the graph is what is happening behind us and storing who I am, what I'm doing, and how it relates to everyone else, and kind of mapping that all out in a graph-like format. So it's able to kind of do the relational search results
Right.
for me. So that's the graph that's going on in the back end. And a lot of times developers can access the graph through an API so that they can get all of that information. So it's bringing that who am I and what am I doing results together.
Yep.
Awesome. How about you, Tamara? What are you loving?
Oh, I am so excited about this. Microsoft Teams, the Teams button long pressed to raise a hand during a meeting. So the raise hand is a popular feature in Teams and is something all users can use, often, many times, over the course of a meeting. This feature allows users the ability to invoke the raise the hand reaction during a meeting by simply holding the Teams button on their certified paraphernalia. So it'll have a little Teams button. You hold that, it'll raise your hand. And that's going to help eliminate the whole my arm is up for the entire meeting reaction, which I think is going to be really helpful. I think it's also going to really help because the leave meeting and the raise the hand apparently is too close together. So as people are leaving the meeting, I'm getting these flashes of hands raising and I'm trying to call on them to answer the questions, but they're actually leaving the meeting. So it's a waste of time. So I was very excited to see that. And then the last Teams things that I was excited to see in development was disable chat write access for anonymous or unauthenticated users. This is great because I think everybody should stand by what they say. You should only say the things that you are willing to back up with your persona. So IT admins can now disable the chat write access at the policy level for non-federated users and unauthenticated users who join Teams meetings through a link that must be in conjunction with disabled meeting chat policy to provide additional security against data exfiltration. I just think it's rude to post something that you won't back up.
Well, I see too, they're doing the GCC, GCC high and DoD on that. So it's across the board.
Cool. Well, I have got one, and then I'll pass it to Adam for all of our IT goodness. One is this is Word, and this is something that we've had on the PC for a while, but now it's coming to the world of Mac, and that is text predictions in Word for Mac, and that is great. This is funny. It's been starting to hit in other parts of the Mac world, and it's great because my husband is a big Mac user, and he came downstairs the other day and he was like, Outlook is just writing my emails for me. I hardly have to type anything lately. It just knows what I'm gonna write. And we started laughing. I'm like, I know, isn't it great? And it knows me, y'all. It writes like in my slang. It's just great. I love it. I'm very, very happy with it. So that is going to be coming into Word for Mac. So very good stuff there. So Adam, why don't you take us through in development and what is coming in the Compliance Center and all the IT admin-y goodness?
Yeah, there's a lot that got released this week in the roadmap. So a couple things to talk about. Some new premium hold reports. These are basically going to be reports inside of the eDiscovery that basically do a better job of letting you know what mailboxes you currently have on hold. This will be both for government clouds and for non-government clouds. They both hit the roadmap at the same time, although the non-government clouds will come out about 3 months before the government clouds will. In addition to that, they also have a couple pretty cool things coming. One that I thought was really, really cool was the idea of adaptive retention policies. This is basically the idea that you're going to be able to create retention policies scoped to geography, department, or other user attributes. So you could go through and say, all right, I need to have a retention policy that applies to the human resources department inside of just people in the US. And you could actually go through and scope that retention policy around that sort of association rather than trying to just say just this user. And then if you add a new user to the department, they're not in there. So kind of cool if you think about some of the stuff that you have to do. It's fairly common in companies that we work with or companies that you see that say, oh, well, all of my contracts need to be held for a certain period of time. And being able to go through and modify retention policies to be able to scope to those types of resources is pretty cool. The other thing that I saw that I really, really liked was self-service automation wizards for Compliance Manager, eDiscovery, and Audit. And that's basically just new automation wizards for the Compliance Manager, eDiscovery, and Audit that are going to be available for users to do that are around doing automated actions inside of there. And it's basically going to be a basic wizard you can go through that helps you set those up. All in favor of automation and stuff that you can do there. And I think that that's one of the areas that people are kind of afraid to get in on their own if it's not an easy way to get into it. So the fact that they've put together these wizards that you can use is a pretty cool thing.
Awesome.
We'll stop there.
Cool. Well, rolling out, I'm going to cheat and give my favorite, and then I'm going to let somebody else go. My favorite, this is one that it always bothered me that as a meeting organizer, I couldn't do it. And that is together mode for everyone. I always wanted to, as the meeting organizer, when I put it in together mode, I didn't like it that it was just together mode for me. I wanted everyone to see together mode because I thought it was pretty powerful to kind of put everybody in together mode. And then I wanted everyone to get kind of that same view because it kind of put us all together. Now we're going to be able to do that. So meeting organizers and presenters will be able to start together mode in the meeting for all participants. So I'm excited about that. That is rolling out. So you should be seeing it in your tenant soon and a meeting with me. So that'll be coming soon. So there we go. That is the one that I'd like to share for rolling out. I'm going to pass it to Tom.
So I have one which I affectionately call the I'll Be Beautiful change, which is Microsoft Teams video filters. We've talked about this in the past. I've been waiting for this one. Both before joining and during a meeting, you can use filters to subtly adjust lighting levels and smooth out facial features to customize your appearance. Wow. I'll be beautiful. This is like Snapchat for Microsoft Teams. But again, this is something that we've talked about. It's in the rolling out stage now. It's a simple setting on your camera settings, I believe, in Teams. And again, it's not going to be like a Instagram or a TikTok thing where all of a sudden you become like a cartoon character by using this filter. But it will.
No, that comes when we use avatars.
This is true. This is true. Avatars. But then I lose the lower part of my body, so there is that. So anyway, this will be one of those things that, especially lighting features, because sometimes like when I sit in front of here, I have to turn off a little lamp that I have sitting right in front of me and also a lamp sitting off to the side. Otherwise, I look like a washed out mess. Now I just look like a mess without the lighting. So I think having those filters to subtly adjust the lighting levels will help a lot. So I'm looking forward to that one actually coming out.
awesome. How about you, Tamara?
I think video filters for Teams. So
That's the one I just did.
I just did that. I really like it and would like to talk about it again.
I thought you would go with Microsoft Project templates and Project for the web.
So there's that, but the one that has me more excited is allow Microsoft 365 users to provide progress updates on their assigned tasks, because it used to be that the project manager would be the only one who had a license for Microsoft Project, right? And they would have to go in and do all the updating because the people participating in the project did not have a license.
Or if they had a license, they didn't know how to use projects, and they would just go in and muck up that file, and it was, ooh, it was bad.
It was bad. So what's going to happen is they're going to be able to, these users will be able to go in the web task and complete and change the percentage complete for their tasks without a project license. So I'm very excited about that. Templates for project in the web, yay.
It's so great. The right tool for the right person doing the right task. It's great. I love it. That's what they need. That's what they need. All right, Adam, how about you?
I'm good. I was going to talk about the one Tamara did.
Oh, you did?
No, I was going to.
I'm sorry I stole that from you.
No, you're perfectly fine.
I mean, not sorry enough to give it back.
Well, yeah. So at Planet, most of the project managers that I know, Planner is not good enough for them, right? So they actually want to use Project and go through and do that. But we don't want to pay for project licenses for all of our tech resources that are never going to touch Project. And so, as Tamara said, everyone has to go in there and manage it on their own, which is a lot of work. I actually, during middle of this call, messaged the 2 PMs at work with my team, like, hey, look what's on the roadmap, because they will be very excited about it. So.
Yeah. And there's also for Project, there's templates in Project for the web. So we've got some templates coming out, so you can use pre-made templates to at least get started. They've got in Android for Microsoft Teams usability improvements to informational messages. So that just means they're going to improve the messaging that comes out on your Android phone for usability, how you can push it away and different things like that. I'm not an Android user, so I'm not too familiar with that. Let's see, multi-language meeting invite controls. So if you're doing something with multi-language meetings, the invite control is getting an update, so you can set a new policy at the IT admin level. Let's see, multi-window support for Teams for the VDI and Citrix. So anyone who's using that, that might be something that you were waiting for is rolling out. And then give take control for Teams on VDI for VMware. That might be something if you're using Teams on VDI for VMware, that could be a feature that you've actually been waiting for. The take control, that's rolling out. So that could be something you were waiting for. And I think that's really all in the rolling out that people could be waiting for that might be listening in with us. So we're going to go over to launch, and I'm going to let Tamara go first, because I think in the last 2 sections we have stole her juju. So I will let her go first in the launch section and share with us what she is excited about and launched.
Oh, there are 2 things I'm excited about, but I'll just pick one. Microsoft List Calendar View, the drag and drop. This means that list items can be rescheduled by dragging and dropping them from one day to another, well, within the calendar view. I am so excited and a little terrified. Or by pulling an item from the unscheduled pane that appears on the right within the calendar view. So this makes me excited because it means that users won't have to open up the item and change the dates. They can just drag and drop. It also terrifies me because somebody is going to accidentally click on it and drag it and drop it and change it.
No, it's no different than Outlook. You shouldn't be terrified. It behaves the same way your Outlook calendar behaves. I don't think you should be terrified.
Outlook terrifies me because people can accidentally change the meetings because they drag and drop them to a new time and location.
Nah, I don't think you should be terrified. I think you're overthinking that one.
I'm still terrified.
I think you're crazy. But
Well,
that's okay.
you know I'm crazy.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here and take another one. Let those two call off
Go
to the
ahead,
side,
Tom.
just go to your corners. Wait 1 minute. So in forms, I have been waiting for this one forever because it was supposed to be released in February, and I keep checking forms and it's not there. And that's the split sending and sharing the entry points. So if you're familiar with forms, you go in there and say, hey, I want to send this to people, or hey, I want to share this with people. They don't quite get the differentiation that sending it to somebody to get a response is different than sharing it with somebody who can actually change the form. Now they're actually decoupling those. So the entry point for sending and the entry point for sharing are separate. And in future iterations, more sending options and effective channels will be used to keep improving the detailed sending experiences. So I think anything that they can do to avoid the thing of going, hey, I shared this with a bunch of people to fill out, and the form is all changed. It's like, well, yeah, because you shared it with them instead of sending it to them. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think that will clarify and clean up stuff that they don't see everything in one group and get confused. So that's a good one for me.
Cool. I think the together mode for the web on GCC High and DoD for Microsoft Teams, and then the large gallery for web for GCC High and DoD for Microsoft Teams. That's 9 videos in the gallery. That's what it did by default. Now using the large gallery, you can view up to 49 videos at once in a meeting. And then the together mode is where you can see everyone together in a meeting. So that is for the web on Microsoft Teams for GCC High and DoD. I don't know how many people have been asking for that, Tamara, but now people can see that. So you might be getting questions about that, or people might be excited about that. I don't know. I don't know that a lot of people use video in DoD, but there you go. If they were, they can see it. So that's there. I don't know that I have anything else there, but Adam, we'll pass it to you and see what you're loving in there.
Yeah, so there's a couple nerdy IT stuff in here that I think is worth noting. The first one, I know I've mentioned this type of thing and past, probably when it was moving through the roadmap, but we've now hit launched. Interestingly enough, the launch date was January of this year, but Exchange is adding outbound support for DNS SCC/DANE for SMTP for Exchange Online. Without going too deep into this is just the next iteration in email security. So you had SPF records, and you had DKIM, then you had DMARC. DNS SCC/DANE is the next iteration of that, and Microsoft has officially launched the outbound support. I'm positive they're doing inbound support as well. They've either already done it or it will be coming on the roadmap soon enough. But basically, just think of this as the next iteration of email security, and Microsoft's doing what they can to keep up and make sure that they're including all the security features for people that want to use them. There's a couple other that I thought were kind of cool. Azure Active Directory Temporary Access Pass. This is a cool feature if you guys have been keeping up with all the fancy stuff you can do for security. Realistically, probably the best security posture you can take outside of going to something like Zero Trust is FIDO2 passwordless sign-in. If you've gone through and looked at it, it's a really cool concept where basically your users don't actually have passwords. They have stuff like biometric scans and things along those lines that they do to get access to their system. So if there's no password to be compromised. So therefore, it's a pretty secure thing. But temporary access pass is basically a way that users get a limited passcode temporarily that can basically be used to do registration into FIDO2. So new users coming in, they need to get their FIDO2 set up. Well, right now it doesn't know that their biometric scan is their biometric scan. So you give them this limited passcode to identify themselves, and then they can go in and add the biometric scan and stuff like that. Just makes the onboarding process for companies that are using FIDO2 a little bit easier. So nice to see. And then the final thing that I wanted to point out, I've talked quite a bit over the last couple months about all the different stuff they're doing with insider risk management. Keep in mind, insider risk management is the type of stuff that you're doing to look for nefarious or unwanted behavior from your users internally, sexually harassment, stuff like that. They're basically adding an insider risk management integration with both Teams and Power Automate. So some of the triggers that you're going through and looking for, things that might be going wrong. I haven't actually tested with this, but in my imagination, this is stuff like, oh, I can go through and do stuff like, okay, when I see something that's potentially going as a way that I don't want, I'm going to automatically tick off something and send it to their manager and let them know that there's potentially something negative going on that they might want to go through and address or something along those lines. So regardless, I think insider risk management is really, really cool. I think that there's a lot of protection for employees in there, in a way that maybe you've kind of lost some of that protection whenever you went remote. It'd be one thing if I was in the office and I saw, Dave harassing Jane. Well, now that I'm not in the office and I don't see that, insider risk management can kind of take the place of making sure you're still protecting your employees and giving them a safe and comfortable place to work in. So anytime I'm seeing evolution and creative stuff coming out on that, happy to see.
Great.
Well, cool. Well, we do have a bunch in canceled, but I looked through them and they're really not that crazy. So I'll kind of go through them pretty quick. We've got Access. So if you were in Access, there's a couple of things that have been canceled. All of them say that they have been canceled and they will be republished when they get a new date. So this typically means, especially around this time of year, that they're not going to make it this year and they're going to be re-added to the roadmap when they redo all of their planning or when they do it. It probably means that they were planning it and then whatever plans they came up with didn't work the way they thought, or they just need to reevaluate completely. So for Access, the graph data connector was canceled. The new web browser control for Chromium Edge was canceled. Enabling large address aware for 32-bit access was canceled. SQL Monaco editor was canceled. And then the inconsistent database error fix was canceled. So that is your list for Access. Kind of makes me feel like the Access team cleaned up their roadmap entries this week. So not surprising. We're going to see a lot more in the canceled area between now and the end of June, but that's it. For Microsoft Teams, approval templates for GCC High and DoD, that has been canceled. So that's not surprising at all in the DoD space. That probably means there's something with approvals and how things are passing around that just can't be done in that space right now. So that's getting canceled. We'll let you know when it comes back. So that's just being taken off the roadmap now. And then Visio, while you were away, where you hop into the site or you hop into a document and it says, hey, while you were gone, all of these things happened, that's canceled and taken off the roadmap for now. So that is canceled. So those are the canceled items for now. Again, between now and the end of June, expect to see the canceled list flourish, but that's okay because then when we come back in July, expect to see the in development list flourish as well. It is the end of the Microsoft fiscal. We are cleaning up and then we will, it's just what
Dirty it all up
happens
again.
this time of year. It's just, it's just what happens. So I wouldn't get too worried or bothered by what's happening. We'll see it all clean up, probably June and July. We'll see it all clean up. And then August and September, we see it all blow up. So it's just the cycle. It's the season of the golden folder.
It's the circle of life.
Oh wow. That was a really great impersonation of that. That was great. That was great, Tom. I really do appreciate that.
You could live here, Jen, and have that all the time.
I could, or
somebody I know who likes it.
It does make me laugh.
I actually do that with my dog all the time. So it would probably be bad if I lived there because Tom and I could probably do the whole play. I mean.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for this week.
Tamara, I'll come and I'll bring the liquor. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
You and I can just watch and be Christmas fun.
On that note, Tom, I'll see you for our dress rehearsal this evening.
There you go.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.